500,000 miles. On the original engine, original transmission, original turbocharger if you have one, without a single major repair. That's not a fantasy. That's not a YouTube myth. That's a documented, achievable outcome for Subaru owners who build the right habits early and maintain them consistently over the life of their vehicle. I've spent years studying what separates the Subarus that die at 120,000 miles from the ones that hit 400,000 and keep going. I've analyzed maintenance records from high-mileage vehicles. I've talked to the owners who got there. I've consulted with mechanics who've worked on hundreds of thousands of miles worth of Subarus. And here's what I've found. The difference is almost never luck. It's almost never a particularly special model year or a uniquely well-built engine. It's habits, specific, repeatable daily habits that cost almost nothing individually, but compound over hundreds of thousands of miles into an engine that tests clean, a transmission that shifts perfectly, and a vehicle worth driving long after most people have traded theirs in for something newer. The owners who hit 500,000 miles aren't doing anything exotic. They're not using $200 a quart specialty oil or visiting a specialist mechanic every month. They're doing simple things, consistently, over a very long time. Today, I'm revealing every one of those habits. Not tips, not suggestions. Proven habits practiced by real owners who've actually achieved extraordinary Subaru longevity. If you build these habits starting today, your Subaru will still be running strong when every other car on your street has been replaced twice. Let's get into it. Habit number 1, the 60-second rule. Every single start. The single most impactful daily habit of every high-mileage Subaru owner is this: never put the engine under load until it's had 60 seconds of idle. Not 20 seconds. Not, I'll drive gently for a block. A full, uninterrupted 60 seconds of idle before the car moves anywhere. Here's why this single habit is so powerful at the engine level. Your Subaru's oil pump begins circulating oil the moment the engine starts, but oil doesn't reach every critical surface instantaneously. The cam lobes, rocker arms, and upper valve train components are the last to receive full oil pressure, and they're among the most wear-sensitive surfaces in the entire engine. In the first 10 to 15 seconds after a cold start, these surfaces are running on the residual oil film from the last time the engine ran. That film is thin. On a boxer engine specifically, where the cylinders are horizontal and oil drains away from critical surfaces faster than in a conventional engine, that film is thinner still. 60 seconds of idle gives the oil pump time to fully pressurize every passage in the engine before you ask it to produce power. Every high-mileage Subaru owner I've spoken with practices this without exception. They treat it as non-negotiable as buckling a seatbelt. Do it cold, do it warm, do it in summer and winter. Every single start. Habit number 2, the gentle first 10 minutes. 60 seconds of idle isn't the complete warm-up picture. It's the foundation. What happens in the next 10 minutes matters just as much. After that initial idle, drive, but drive gently. Keep RPMs below 2,500 until the temperature gauge reaches the center of its range, which indicates the coolant has reached 195 to 205 degrees Fahrenheit, full operating temperature. At operating temperature, the metal components have expanded to their designed clearances. The oil has thinned to its working viscosity. The combustion chamber temperatures support complete, efficient combustion. The engine is designed to work hard at this temperature, and not before. The owners who've hit 400,000 and 500,000 miles describe this habit identically. They treat the first 10 minutes of every drive as a warm-up lap. Smooth inputs, gentle acceleration, no aggressive maneuvers. After full operating temperature, drive however you want. The habit isn't about permanent restriction. It's about protecting the engine during the brief window every day when it's most vulnerable. Habit number 3, half-interval oil changes. No exceptions. We covered the science behind this in the Japanese oil change secrets video, but it bears repeating here because it's possibly the single most impactful maintenance habit in terms of engine longevity. Change your oil at exactly half the manufacturer's recommended interval, every time. Without exception, Subaru recommends 6,000 miles with full synthetic on most current models. Your new interval is 3,000 miles. This isn't about the oil being dirty, it's about the additive package. Modern synthetic engine oil degrades in 3 phases, and the third phase, where wear rates spike dramatically, typically begins around 70% of the recommended interval. By changing at half the interval, your engine never experiences phase 3 oil. Over 500,000 miles. This means every single mile is driven on oil that still has meaningful anti-wear chemistry protecting your bearings, rings, and cylinder walls. The cost difference over 500,000 miles is approximately $4,000 to $5,000 compared to standard interval changes. One prevented engine rebuild costs $5,000 to $10,000. The math makes this the highest return on investment habit in this entire video. Use full synthetic exclusively. Use OEM or premium aftermarket filters. Track every change in a physical logbook and never ever skip an interval. Habit number 4. Monthly fluid checks. All 5. Every single high-mileage Subaru owner checks 5 fluids every month without exception. Not when the warning light comes on. Not before a long trip. Every month. Engine oil. Check level and condition. Level should be between the full and add marks. Color should be golden to amber at 1,000 miles post-change. Dark, gritty, or milky appearance at any point warrants immediate investigation. Coolant. Check the overflow reservoir level with the engine cold. Any measurable drop between checks indicates a leak somewhere in the system, even if you can't find evidence of it externally. Early detection of a small coolant leak has saved more Subaru engines from head gasket failure than almost any other practice on this list. Brake fluid. Check the reservoir level and note the color. Dark brown brake fluid indicates moisture absorption, which lowers the boiling point and indicates it's time for a flush regardless of mileage. Power steering fluid, where applicable. Level drop indicates a developing leak. Catching it early prevents pump damage. CVT or transmission fluid, visible level on equipped models. Any sign of fluid on or around the transmission warrants immediate professional inspection. 5 checks, 10 minutes, once a month. The owners who hit 500,000 miles aren't finding major problems at this check. They're catching the small problems, the slow coolant loss, the minor fluid discoloration, the slight level drop, before those small problems become catastrophic failures. Before we continue, these habits are the foundation, but they work best within a complete documented maintenance system that covers every interval, every fluid, and every preventive replacement. I've built that system into the 500,000 mile car maintenance blueprint. Link in the description. Habit number 5. The turbo cool down, non-negotiable for forced induction models. If you drive a WRX, a turbocharged Outback, a turbocharged Legacy, or an Ascent, this habit is the difference between a turbocharger that lasts 300,000 miles and one that fails at 90,000. Never shut off the engine immediately after hard driving. When you drive hard, your turbocharger spins at up to 150,000 revolutions per minute and reaches temperatures exceeding 400 degrees Fahrenheit. The bearings inside the turbocharger are lubricated and cooled exclusively by engine oil flowing through tiny passages. When you shut the engine off, the oil pump stops immediately. The turbocharger, still spinning and still extremely hot, suddenly has no oil flow. The residual oil in the passages cooks into carbon deposits, gradually restricting the passage size until oil flow is inadequate even when the engine is running. This process, called oil coking, is responsible for the majority of premature turbocharger failures in the 80,000 to 130,000 mile range that Subaru turbo owners report. The solution cost you exactly 2 minutes. After any aggressive driving, highway on-ramp pulls, spirited mountain driving, or any extended boost use, let the engine idle for 60 to 90 seconds before shutting down. The oil pump continues circulating cool oil through the turbo bearings, and the turbocharger temperatures drop into a safe range before oil flow stops. Every high-mileage turbocharged Subaru owner does this automatically, without thinking. Build the habit now, and your turbo will outlast the rest of the car. Habit number 6. The annual cooling system inspection. Subaru's head gasket reputation exists for a reason. EJ25 equipped models from the late 1990s through the mid-2000s have a documented head gasket failure rate that approaches certainty given enough miles and insufficient cooling system maintenance. But here's the part most people miss. Even on newer FB25 and FA series engines that don't share the EJ25 specific failure mode, the cooling system is still the single most consequential preventive maintenance area on any Subaru. Every high-mileage Subaru owner I've studied treats the cooling system with near-religious attention. Once per year, they do a complete cooling system inspection, visual check of all hoses for softness, swelling, surface cracking, or hardening, pressure test of the entire system to identify leaks invisible to the naked eye, coolant condition check, looking for discoloration, oil contamination, or acidity that indicates degraded inhibitor packages, thermostat function verification, confirming it opens at the correct temperature and fully closes when cold. Coolant flush on a strict 40,000 to 50,000 mile schedule, not the 100,000 mile schedule the owner's manual suggests, and not when I get around to it. Preventive thermostat replacement every 80,000 to 100,000 miles. The reasoning is simple. Overheating is the fastest path to catastrophic engine failure on any Subaru. A single severe overheating event can warp aluminum cylinder heads, blow head gaskets, and destroy an engine that would otherwise have lasted 300,000 more miles. All of that damage from one event that proper cooling system maintenance would have prevented entirely. Habit number 7. Listening to the car. This habit sounds less technical than the others, but may be the most valuable in terms of caught early versus caught late repairs. The owners who've driven their Subarus to extraordinary mileage are exceptionally attuned to how their car sounds, feels, and behaves normally, because they know exactly what normal is. Any deviation from normal registers immediately. A new vibration at highway speed, a subtle change in engine sound at idle, a slight hesitation that wasn't there last week, a brake pedal that feels marginally different than yesterday. Most owners ignore these signals or tell themselves it's probably nothing. High-mileage owners investigate every one of them within days of noticing. Here's what makes this habit so powerful. Most catastrophic failures announce themselves quietly, weeks or months before they become catastrophic. The head gasket that fails dramatically at 130,000 miles was showing subtle coolant loss for 15,000 miles before that. The CVT that failed expensively at 110,000 miles was shuddering slightly for 8,000 miles before the final failure. The wheel bearing that disintegrated at highway speed was making a faint hum for 20,000 miles. Every one of those catastrophic, expensive failures could have been a routine, manageable repair if the owner had investigated the early signal instead of hoping it would go away. Build the habit of knowing exactly what your specific Subaru sounds and feels like when everything is perfect. That baseline knowledge is your early warning system. Habit number 8. Consistent top-tier fuel every single fill-up. We covered the science of top-tier fuel in a previous video, but it belongs here as a daily habit because consistency is the entire point. Use top-tier certified fuel exclusively Never compromise on this because the station is slightly more convenient or slightly cheaper. On direct-injected Subarus, which includes all current production models, the only protection your intake valves have against carbon buildup is the detergent quality of your fuel. The factory design physically cannot wash carbon from the intake valves the way older port-injected engines could. A single tank of non-top-tier fuel doesn't cause immediate damage, but the consistent pattern of inferior detergent levels over 50,000 to 100,000 miles produces the kind of carbon buildup that requires $600 to $1,200 professional cleaning services to address, or worse, causes enough deposit buildup to affect valve sealing and combustion efficiency permanently. The habit is simple. Verify your regular station is on the top-tier registry at toptiergas.com. Stick with certified stations. When traveling, check before you fill up. This is the cheapest habit on this entire list. Top-tier fuel costs 2 to 5 cents more per gallon. That's less than $30 extra per year. Habit number 9, the 500-mile new oil check. This is a small habit that catches one specific important problem. After every oil change, drive 500 miles, then check the oil level. If the level has dropped measurably in just 500 miles, you either have a leak or consumption has begun. Either issue warrants immediate investigation. Why 500 miles specifically? Because it's far enough to confirm genuine consumption or leakage rather than minor settling, but short enough that you catch the issue before it progresses significantly or before the oil level drops dangerously. High-mileage owners don't wait for the oil light to appear, which typically indicates the oil is already 1.5 to 2 quarts low, meaning the engine has been running with dangerously reduced oil pressure without the owner knowing. They proactively check at 500 miles post-change, then monthly for the rest of the interval. Habit number 10, the annual preventive parts review. Once per year, every high-mileage Subaru owner sits down with their maintenance log and asks a specific question. What is approaching its expected service life and should be replaced proactively? Timing belt, where applicable. Approaching 100,000 miles. Replace it now, before failure destroys the engine. Water pump, do with the timing belt. Replace simultaneously. The labor overlap makes it negligent not to. Spark plugs at 25,000 miles on copper, 55,000 on iridium. Replace for consistent combustion and to protect the catalytic converter. Serpentine and accessory belts, showing any glazing, cracking, or fraying. Replace before they fail. CVT fluid at or approaching 60,000 miles since last change. Schedule it immediately. Coolant, approaching 45,000 miles since last flush. Schedule it. PCV valve and separator on 2020 plus models at 18,000 miles or more. Replace it preventively. The annual review prevents the situation where multiple items approach failure simultaneously, which is how routine maintenance suddenly becomes catastrophic, expensive failure. When the timing belt breaks, takes out the water pump, destroys the head, and totals the vehicle in a single event that a $700 preventive service would have prevented entirely. The compound effect. Here's what makes these habits so powerful at the scale of 500,000 miles. They compound. Proper warm-up reduces cold start wear. Half-interval oil changes keep that reduced wear environment lubricated with fresh protective oil. Monthly fluid checks catch developing problems before they eliminate the accumulated benefit of the first two habits. Turbo cool-down preserves the forced induction system that the first three habits are protecting. Cooling system attention prevents the single event that could negate everything else overnight. Remove any one habit and you weaken the system. Maintain all 10 consistently, and the cumulative effect is an engine that genuinely doesn't accumulate wear at the rate that leads to failure at 150,000 miles. The 500,000-mile owners aren't lucky. They built a system that works, and they stuck to it for a very long time. The bottom line: 10 proven habits that produce 500,000-mile Subarus. 60-second idle before every drive, without exception, protecting the engine during its most vulnerable daily window. Gentle driving for the first 10 minutes until the temperature gauge reaches center, protecting metal clearances and oil viscosity during warm-up. Half-interval oil changes, 3,000 miles instead of 6,000, ensuring every mile is driven on oil with full additive protection. Monthly checks of all 5 critical fluids, catching small problems before they become catastrophic failures. Turbo cool down after every hard drive, preventing the oil coking that destroys turbos at 90,000 miles. Annual cooling system inspection, and strict 40,000 to 50,000 mile flush intervals, preventing the overheating that kills engines overnight. Active listening for any deviation from normal, investigating every signal early rather than hoping it resolves. Consistent top-tier certified fuel at every fill-up, protecting direct injection valves and injectors for the life of the engine. The 500-mile post-change oil level check, catching consumption and leaks before they become dangerous. The annual preventive parts review, ensuring nothing approaches failure without being replaced proactively first. None of these habits is difficult. None is expensive. All of them require only consistency. Start today, build the system, and drive your Subaru to 500,000 miles. And if you want the complete documented maintenance system that ties all of these habits together into a single organized roadmap for your specific Subaru model, check out the 500,000 mile car maintenance blueprint in the description. If you found this video helpful, be sure to watch this next video as we're sharing insider tips to help you cut repair costs and keep your car running like new.